What's up, everybody? It's CMP with Craftmaster Productions and Studio1Tutorials.com. Don't forget to stop by Studio One Tutorials and pick up your premium membership. It is 50 cents a day. Now, today we're going to be doing something quick, showing you guys how, to go about, flipping a 90s R&B vibe to a, 2018 R&B vibe. The example that we're going to be using is the Touch Me, Tease Me record from Case. So this song was like huge in '96, bro. This is when Foxy Brown was first coming out. She had the verse on it. On the second chorus, Mary J. Blige came in and overdubbed what Case was singing. It was like this song was amazing. And so I have a client who was he heard the OI record where they flipped the Foxy Brown and Backstreet song. He's like, yo, Chico, we gotta get one of those. And I'm like, all right, bro, we'll take care of it. And when you have a client who's looking for something like that, what I've become good at as a producer is like identifying, all right, what is it that they're looking for, breaking down the vibe. So I just went to the 96 Billboard charts, which was the same year that the Gotta Get You Home shit came out. I was like, oh, Touch Me, Tease Me came out the same year. I'm listening to it. I find the instrumental. I went to Who Sampled. I seen that it was a product of the drums was the break from this old Schoolie D song. So I'm sitting with it, I'm thinking about it a little bit more because I'm thinking about how to go about it. I could take it, slow it down, and do like the Toronto vibe where you filter out the sample, you put some brooding trap drums underneath it and run it like that. But if I was to do that to this song, because so much of the DNA of the original track is that break, it's everywhere. Like that break is what really made this song cross over, because the PSK record, that's an old school, even in the 90s, that was an old school hard record, like a gangster record. And what they did, and what a lot of what Puffy was doing, I think this was done by the Trackmasters, what they were doing was they were taking old hip hop breaks, because a lot of hip hop drums back then was just looped break beats. So they were crossing, these old hard drums, with EP chords and guitars and stuff like that, and making, I guess what you would call it, to make it like more modern day. They were doing, it was like the first version of trap soul. This was boom bap soul, or so I felt like if I stayed away from that, you wouldn't bring forth the memory of the sample, because when you're sampling, especially like in this capacity, when you're not trying to hide your samples and everything, when you're going more towards like a R&B type of hit, you want to preserve the memory of the song. You want people to hear it. Younger people will be like, oh man, that's that shit my older sister was listening to all the time. That shit goes, and you want to evoke the memories. So if I was to slow it down and mangle it, it wouldn't be easily recognizable. So the first thing that I did was I went and found the instrumental just to make it easy on myself, and I took this piece. I took this beginning piece and looped it. And if you guys want to see a more advanced version of how I did this, I'll have the video up on Studio1Tutorials.com for premium members. And then the next thing that I did after I had that was I threw it in Melodyne, and I analyzed the pitch with with the polyphonic algorithm. Again, I'll show this on studio1tutorials.com, and I came up with this MIDI which allowed me to throw it in Electra X, and I wound up with this really cool pad sound. So you have like a long release string, and then there's like this this kind of tweaky computerish type of overtone. The other thing that I wanted to do was I needed to I knew that the sample itself, I wanted to hear more of the guitar. And I knew that that when it came time to mixing, having the guitar and the EP on one track was going to prove problematic. So I took the chords from the Melodyne information and just found a patch in Omnisphere that worked. So I was able to layer it like this. And then when you throw the sample in, you get the bass of the the entire tracks as far as the music is concerned. So that's cool. It has a really nice like a nice now texture when you listen to it up against the original. Versus ours. You see, there's a little bit more going on. It's it's different now. When it came time, to work with to work with the drum loop, I just went ahead and ripped it out of the track. Time stretched it. Obviously, it wasn't. We're at a different BPM than the original. And let me see. So when you have all three of them stacked up against each other, you get this. So obviously that doesn't have the same impact as the original. So we did some stacking. I got a similar sounding crash. Obviously tuned it. And when I was laying the drums originally, I was having trouble finding the rhythm of the kick. This is the snare I wound up putting over it. It's a rim shot with a lot of reverb. Again, rather than going with their type of layered boom bap snare, which was cool for their time, I wanted to use a more modern type of vibe. So that's what led to the decision on that snare. Then then I rolled with a because I knew I was going to be using 808s. I went with a short release kick, something something to get the punch that was going to be needed to layer with the 808s. But then it was, it was still, I still wanted that ambient type of kick from the original. So I found something that sounded similar, and just adjust the EQ so that it fit together with the short release kick. So I'm not even really using the lows from this. I'm just using the highs for it for texture. So now you hear it has that crunch and that stomp. I added a little accent snare to go along with it. And this actual rhythm came from a percussion loop out of a Jules Jadon pack. When you listen to it solo. Boom, boom, boom. So I just followed the kick of this, and when you put them all together, you get this really nice loop. Let me see here. So whereas the original, they layered, they layered that Schoolie D breakbeat, with their type of sounds. I thought this was a really good representation of like modern R&B drums. And then of course through this little chant on here, so that was pretty much the loop, and once I got that, I was pretty happy because I knew that everything else was going to fall into place. So the next thing to do was to kind of analyze the arrangement, and there you see I'm using the arranger track and just kind of writing myself little notes. I didn't exactly stick to their arrangement because again, this is a flip. So when we go to the original, you see that here we have like this part where you get a string and a lead that come in. You see that part comes up again here. Over here we have a section where there's no bass, and they kind of chop the drums a little bit. You also notice that the guitar's gone on this section. Then we go into that strings and lead section again, and they just kind of, for the end of the song, they just kind of loop that part over and over again. So that's where I knew I would have an opportunity to be a little bit more creative with everything. So the first thing was just getting that string part. I didn't want to use their exact string part, so I wound up writing something similar, but it's not exactly the same. So you get that kind of up down motion, and then switching to a major chord here, going back to the root note, going to the 4, and then kind of a walk up here. And this is all stuff that I discussed in the music theory section of studio1tutorials.com. Again, if you want to see a more detailed tutorial on how to achieve this easily, just hit up studio1tutorials.com. And if you notice, this is just the same chord, and we're inverting the 5, playing with an open voicing. Now, in the original, they have that lead that's going on, right? So what I did was I kind of I was just listening along, and I kind of copied their timing. If you listen to where those notes hit, and then I added some accent notes. I knew that I wasn't going to use like a portamento R&B lead because it's 2018, it's not 1996. So I thought, what is a modern sound that could kind of serve that purpose that you hear in R&B and more like radio ready stuff, and that that vocal, that pitched vocal chop is everywhere. It works, it sounds nice. I found one that works out. If you guys want to see the presets, be on studio1tutorials.com. But yeah, when you play it now, you get the same rhythm of the original, but different tone, which is cool when you're trying to flip something like this and keep it as close as possible, but update the sound. This is a great technique to do it. see here, I was thinking like this, this breakbeat, especially, especially for like a modern ear, we're not used to listening to the same drums over and over again. Like we're on like, like a metro vibe. I mean, all the 808 Mafia cats and everybody who's out there cloning them. There's different switch ups in the 808 patterns and stuff like that. So I made sure that first of all, my 808 pattern for the hook was a little bit different than the bass. I took out some of the accent notes. The original bass line was real simple. It was like 2 or 3 notes. So I wanted in the in the string section where we're probably gonna have a singer, I wanted to kind of replicate that simplicity and leave it up to the vocalist to put more expression and drama into that. For the rap verse parts, obviously. Chose to go with a little bit more busy of a pattern to kind of add more of a trap vibe to it. And the second part of the verse here, I chose to get rid of that break beat so that we could kind of give the ears a break and give them, because if you were to keep spamming it over and over again, you get tired of it. But if you take it out in key parts, you want to hear it again. So and then here I made sure during the bass line, we dropped on those 4 counts, but I added some accent notes again to have a different turnaround, making this pattern completely unique from everything else that's in the track, because we're gonna get into a section now where we're replaying the hook parts, and again, we don't want it to get fatiguing. It's 2018. We want to get deep with the arrangement. So we dropped this, we dropped the hook part that we've heard before. It sounds great. And then we jump into where they had their drum fill. That was a common technique, chopping the break for adding a bridge or a second verse or something like that to make a difference. So I'm thinking to myself, what's a more modern version of that, because I didn't want to just chop the break and do something that basic. So I was like, boom, let's go with the low pass filter, like a more modern R&B song. So that's what we did. Is I removed the bass, kept everything pretty much the same, got rid of the strings, and just rolled off the high frequencies. But what I did with this perk loop, because it's such an important part of the rhythm, is I went ahead and sent that to the filter bypass, so that the highs of that track were not rolled off, so that we still maintain the rhythm and we got a cool vibe from it. The sample, they already did a decent amount of low pass filtering on that perk loop anyway, so I like the way it sat up against everything else. That sounded cool, especially leading back into the hook part. I went ahead and used a looperator to like add further chops and tape stops here. So that's really satisfying after hearing, all the high frequencies drown out. You get a tape stop and then you go boom, right, right back into this familiar piece. And see, in the original you have this vibe. So I feel like we did a good job here. It's way more dramatic. So then for this section here, this is where I really started to have fun with the automation. I wanted to do the last half of the song, especially after this pattern. You know, you can get to the point where the listener feels like they know what's coming next. They're like, all right, I'm done listening to this beat. But no, I wanted to push it even further, so I went ahead and used the halftime plugin from Cable Guys, and I added like a detuned saw bass, and then again, I didn't want that to be half timed, and I didn't want to, you know, lower the octave of it like the halftime plugin does. So what I did was I changed the routing, sent that to the filter bypass, so that would be unaffected by halftime, and we wound up with this sound. I went ahead and added a you know, a more modern hi hat pattern. Again, I wanted to get a break from the, you know, from the drum break, and the way we're getting that you know, that cool roll that's going on is I've got the X loop programmed into Effectrix. And then jump back in to a double hook, and then we're out. It's a, you know, it's a longer beat because it's the arrangement is mimicked off a 90s song where songs were just, you know, songs were just longer. People had more attention span, and there wasn't this you know, this 3-minute song trend that's so prevalent today. So you know what I want you guys to take away from this quick tutorial, especially for you guys that are, you know, that are more advanced, you'll be able to see this and just know, oh, okay, I can do this and this, boom boom, I got it. Is when you're taking in, you know, when you're taking and you're trying to run a flip, the most important part is to maintain a significant amount of sameness from the original track, because the whole point of doing something like this in this capacity is to evoke the memory of people who have heard this song and to draw them in, being like, oh wow, I wonder what they're going to do with this. So you don't want to, you don't want to jump in and like if I would have jumped in with the, you know, with the halftime part, I don't think it would have been as effective as saving it for last. And then as you go throughout the track, you want to kind of build things that are, you know, that are more modern and fit today's production style, but you don't want to go completely left and just pull the heart out of the track. So you just keep building subtly, and then once you get to your bridge, that is your time to shine. Go crazy, change the bass line, change the melody, add chops, you know, add a different drum break, really go hard, and show your creativity during this part, and you'll probably wind up with this piece being everybody's favorite part of the song. So yeah, man, hope you guys took something away from this. This is CMP with Craftmaster Productions. If you want to see more of this, go ahead and stop over to studio1tutorials.com. Get your premium membership. It is 50 cents a day. Keep it simple, don't be basic, and we will see you on the next one.